That is our beautiful Jack Quigley. Thank you so much. That was an original Jack Quigley song, too. So, after you hear the talk today and we go through this month of the third eye, listen to that song again. It's really a powerful song that he wrote. So, I was telling Jack that we're on our third eye chakra, and Jack's read a lot of Hinduism. He's like, yeah, well, have you ever experienced the third eye? And so I want to just give us a little understanding of the third eye. So I want you to close your eyes. And as much as you can, if you don't do it normally, it might feel uncomfortable at first, but try to look at that space between the eyebrows. That's where the third eye is, the third eye chakra. So you want to have your two eyes look up, just a little bit up, not up in the sky, but you're looking just a tiny bit up in between the eyebrows in that space. Now I want you to first imagine, and then see if you can actually feel it this morning, of the idea of breathing through your third eye. So the breath is going in and out of your third eye. So just try that for a minute. And then you can open your eyes. So that's a practice that you can do regularly. Whenever you have a moment to close your eyes and you're not driving. Breathing through your eye, because what you'll start feeling is it's almost like a doorway. And you'll start feeling it. Maybe some of you already felt it this morning, but if you keep doing it, it's a real thing, and you're going to start feeling that third eye open. That's the third eye of vision, what Jack was singing about today. So Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda was my main meditation teacher. I read his book, Autobiography of a Yogi, in 1994 and started his meditation practice. And immediately, his guru's guru is the one who really talked about meditating on the third eye. So you want to look up at the third eye. So most of my meditation has been looking up at the third eye. There's a lot of different types of meditations. There's meditations where it doesn't matter where you look. In Zen, they actually ask you to have your eyes a little bit open and looking down softly. Lahiri Mahasai, who is Yogananda's guru's guru, he actually had his eyes just a little bit open and looking up towards the third eye. So there's all different ways to do it, but generally Yogananda said keep your eyes closed and look up at the third eye. So that's a way of meditating. We do this thing called the visioning process. When you're visioning, it's really good to be looking up because that's the place of vision. It's what it's the doorway to the cosmos. So if you want to open into that worlds beyond our worlds, we open through our third eye. However, the third eye and opening to vision is not the same as the mind's eye. And I think this can be confusing. The mind's eye is where we have imagination. So we know that in the second chakra was imagination. So when you're dreaming at night, most of our dreams are imagination. We create stories based on what we know or have heard about, or it's in the ethers of the human consciousness here, that we have these images and stories that play out in our dream life. That's in our mind's eye. When we imagine, that's in our mind's eye. Our imagination is extraordinary. If I were to ask you right now to imagine a glass car, my bet is most of you could do that pretty quickly, pretty easily, though I don't know if any of us have ever seen a glass car. Our imagination has no trouble coming up with an image for it. When we read books, we're reading books of stories we've never seen. We haven't seen it on the movie screen or anywhere else, but we can come up with images in our head. We can create in our head. It's extraordinary. This ability to visualize things we've never seen. We can come up with infinite possibilities, infinite, permutations, just different, there's a word that's on the tip of my tongue. Now it's going to drive me crazy. But different combinations, infinite combinations that we can come up with to create. And that's an incredibly powerful tool that we have, our mind's eye. I know most of you were children, weren't you? We were all children once, and children have this pretend world. Did you have a pretend world when you were little, and this imagination, and you were creating stories? I know for me, I had this storyline that went through a lot of my elementary school years. I could still tell you the people, and it was just a whole world. Imagination makes the world so fun. I remember we lived on a golf course, and when it was winter, everything looked the same. It was just snow everywhere. So I lost my markers. So I would go out trudging in the snow, and I would get completely disoriented because I couldn't, as soon as my house, I didn't know where I was. Golf courses are big, and it's all white. And then at one point, I guess I was walking on the creek. They had a little creek on the golf course, and the snow broke, or the ice broke, and I went through, and I went up to about here. So I'm cold, and I remember this so well. But I'm telling a whole story, and she's in Alaska, and she's been walking for days, and she has no food. I just made it like this huge adventure, and then finally I see my house, and then she sees this beautiful hotel, and there are lights in it, and all she needs is a room. It just made the whole thing so much more fun than being freezing cold, not knowing where I am. Imagination really adds to our life and creates joy and playfulness and fun. It's an incredible gift that we've been given and an incredible tool. We know from manifesting, we can imagine something and we really bring energy and feeling to what we're imagining, and the next thing we know, it's showing up in our life. It's extraordinary. And we give thanks for this. But it's not the same as the third eye. The third eye is opening to a world beyond this world. The imagination is still dealing with sort of things, even though we've never seen a glass car, it's still dealing with glass in a car. Things that we do know of, so we can put that combination together. When we go into those other realms, it's more real than anything in this world. So you hear a lot of mystics talking about this world as if it's a dream. Because once we move in, as we go into the third eye, we're opening up to other dimensions that are actually not dreams, they're not imaginations, they're more real. And it's one of those things that when you connect with it, you know that you know that you know. You don't go, is that maybe true, or is this possibly true? It's real. So it's something, and so again, as you breathe through this third eye this week, all month, we're doing the third chakra. It is possible to experience it, and pretty effortlessly. Let's take away the idea that it's hard or that it's something you have to really do a lot. Just let it be easy. Let it be easy. Breathe through your third eye, because it's right there. The infinite cosmos it's not way out there in the galaxies that we have to take a rocket ship to. It's right here. We see, we open. Lahiri Mahasai, Paramahansa Yogananda was a Hindu guru who came over to America to connect Christianity and Hinduism, spirituality. He loves the reading we heard today about keeping our eye single so our whole body is full of light. The third eye. What's interesting in that phrase is they don't say eyes. It's not plural, it's eye in the Bible. Keep your eye single so your whole body is full of light. He connects that with the third eye chakra. So Lahiri Mahasai, who was his, I guess, grandfather of this technique of looking at the third eye, his wife, he was married, he had 5 kids, he was an engineer, he was fully in life, even as he was this incredible mystic. And his wife, he initiated his wife because she doubted, she knew him as her husband and she doubted him all the time. So he initiated her into Kriya Yoga, into opening the third eye, and she experienced the cosmos being birthed through her third eye. And I've heard other people talk about that. I want to experience God. The third eye opens and you can start seeing the cosmos being birthed through you, but not you as the small self, this infinite self. We can experience that. And then I realized when I was a child, I've talked about this experience of becoming one with Christ's love. And I started thinking about my eyes during that experience. So in this experience, I was a little girl. I was in my imagination, my second chakra. I was imagining the manger. I was imagining the whole Christmas story. nothing, it was just which opens us up, imaginations opens us up for this pure unconditional love. In that imagining, so my eyes are looking down, and in that imagining, that Christ's love actually comes alive. Now we're not in imagination, I'm not making it up, it's not a hallucination. You start to realize there's differences, and we know the differences when we start having them. It's not hallucination, it's not an imagination, it's a real thing of Christ's love. It unites with me, and I'm one with Christ's love, and what I've always known, but I never thought about it. It was just something so natural that in that experience, I was looking up. So by the time the experience was done, I was like this, looking right up through that third eye. That I started down and moved up through the third eye. I was opening up to this vision, and the vision was of pure, unconditional, unlimited love. Love that was nothing, was just so much greater than any love that we have in this world. So as much as I can imagine, I just have to say this makes me laugh. I remember I was in high school. I was watching the Merv Griffin show. I wasn't allowed to watch the Merv Griffin show. I was sneaking it because my mom was out of the house. That's how innocent we are. The thing that I'm sneaking is watching Merv Griffin. There was a celebrity on there saying, "Oh, I have so much fame, I could have never imagined this." And I remember at the time thinking, you couldn't have imagined that? You don't have a very good imagination. We can imagine a lot. We can love a lot. We can do a lot of things humanly. But when we start opening up to the cosmos, it's so much greater than what we can imagine. That's why I like to put that in our prayers. I say it a lot, beyond what we can imagine, because we can imagine amazing things. Our imaginations are extraordinary, and yet when we touch that, it is always beyond what we could imagine. It's so much more real than what we could imagine. And that's what that experience of the love was for me, this Christ love. It was so much greater than what I could, not just what I imagined, but what I was experiencing. I adored my family, and it was nothing compared to this Christ love. So I've opened myself up to this vast world. But it was a problem, because it was of this other world, and we live in this world, and that was probably one of my greatest struggles in life, was that's the world I wanted, but this was the world I'm given, and how to connect those two. And there wasn't a lot of people teaching that stuff, and I wouldn't even know what to have asked. So, taking it down to the total realm of practicality, I'm guessing most of you have written a job resume before. Has anyone here not written a job resume? Yeah, I can't imagine. It's how we get along in our life. We write our history of what we've done in our work to get a job. It's so much part of us. And so when there's a guy named Jesse Itzler, who's an entrepreneur, made most of his money in his 20s, and still, I don't know what he's doing. He's a motivational speaker, and he just lives life out loud, as they say. I follow him on Instagram because I just love his energy. And he has this idea of a life resume. I loved it. I love that idea of a life resume. That to live big, to live a full life, that you don't want to live, you've heard that quote that Americans live to work and Europeans work so they can live. Well, his idea is, I want to live life as fully and richly as possible. And so there's all the spontaneity, but then he also believes in planning. So at the beginning of the year, he has this big calendar, and he plots out 3 major events that's going to push him beyond his regular life, and then little ones beforehand. And he has 4 kids, and he wants to make sure they have a full life, so he's trying to give them as much of experience of life as possible. So their intention is to experience life, to travel. He pushes himself physically. It's just he's unending energy because he's full of life. And I love it. That's why I follow him. I just love this fullness and the richness of the life resume, to create a life resume of how you want to live your life. But that also got me to thinking about Enlightenment's resume. What is that resume of enlightenment? Because the third eye, as I mentioned in our weekly email, the throat chakra is about expansion, speaking our word, opening up, or just communicating, expressing, listening, expansion. The crown chakra is liberation, is freedom. And what Paramahansa said, I'm not an expert, so I'm just repeating what Paramahansa Yogananda says, which is the crown chakra automatically opens up once you've opened up the third eye. That the third eye is enlightenment. And the more we merge with enlightenment, the crown chakra automatically opens up, which is why he focuses on the third eye and not on the crown chakra. Because he says you can't have the liberation without the enlightenment. So enlightenment through our third eye, what's that resume look like? One of the things that Yogananda did, because he was trying to merge with Christian culture, is he would call this the Christ Consciousness Center. And I've always thought that was just because he was trying to be, find his way into American culture, calling it the Christ Consciousness. But why do we use the word Christ Consciousness? Why don't we just say God Consciousness? And this is where it gets down to the practicality. There's so we have the two eyes, and then we have the single eye. There is a God idea for our life, but it's individualized, and that's why we use the word Christ. Jesus Christ is considered an individuation of God. All beings are considered, so you can use the word Christ, you can use the word Buddha, you can use the word Atman, which is a Hindu word. That's the individual God soul. So the idea is that we're all this vast galaxies upon, different dimensions of God that are beyond what we can imagine or talk about. But then there's a specific idea for each of us. That's the Enlightenment's resume. And that's what the Christ consciousness is, the individualized expression of God as us. So just looking at some of the individualized expressions, Jesus, Buddha, I don't know, like Shunryu Suzuki is another one of my teachers, Yogananda, you all have your teachers, Ernest Holmes, Joel Goldsmith. These are all spiritual teachers. They're all about oneness, but they are an individualized expression of that oneness. They have a very definite teaching and style and way that's coming not necessarily from them, but from this divine idea. So we heard today, God first, seek first the kingdom of God, and all things shall be added unto you. We have all these wonderful tools that we've been learning around the different chakras, but all of them are there to serve the God idea. Seek first to know that God idea for your life. The first time it's only recently as I was thinking about that experience when I was a child that I realized I was looking through my third eye, but I wasn't conscious of the third eye then. The first time I was conscious, and I still didn't know about the third eye, but I was conscious of the experience, was when I was I was 25. I had wanted to be a mom, and at 19, decided not to do that. And then by 24, I pretty much decided, you know what? I don't think I want to be a mother. I don't think I'd be a very good one. And I just let that go. I just let the whole idea of being a mom go. It was my 25th birthday. I just moved back across country to LA. I didn't know anybody. So I just went to a movie, and I don't mind being alone on holiday. So I just went to the store. There's a Life magazine. I got it, and it was a depiction of the development of the fetus through the 9 months of development in the mother's womb. And I'm just sitting on the bed, and I'm going through all the pictures. And as I'm going through the pictures, I'm just feeling the miracle. I'm like, wow, this is amazing to watch this developing fetus into a human being in that 9 months. And suddenly my heart's wide open, and I'm feeling it. And in that moment, I experienced, and I didn't know what a third eye was at this point, but it was like a movie camera. It's what they say. It was like it just opened before me. I was in it, but I was in it, but as a witness, and I was that person, and I was the person I was watching, which was I was in a hospital having a baby. There was a father who was very present. I couldn't see him. He was off to the side, but it was very clear. He was very present in the child's birth. And in that moment, I knew that I was going to have a baby. It wasn't of me. I didn't imagine it. I didn't sit around playing. It was in that higher realm. Does it limit us? We hear on the spiritual path it gets narrower and narrower. So when we're in the world of imagination, we have infinite possibilities. I could be this, I could be that, I could do that. We have all these possibilities. But then when we catch it, it's like, oh, I don't have a choice. So do I feel restricted? Not even remotely. It didn't even occur to me. In fact, It's enlivening to have such clarity, because then, as I'm paying attention to other mothers, I'm thinking about, oh, how would I do a mother? I know it's going to happen, so I start thinking about it along the way, because now I've had this vision, and it's not a question. I'm not debating it or doubting it. It's a done deal. When it comes from that divine place, God first, and all things shall be added unto you. This is available for everybody right here and right now. That third eye is right there. All the information, all the divine idea for your life that birthed you right here. So I had that experience of just my third eye opening, and it was like a movie camera just watching. Years later, I was reading a book called The Continuum Concept by Jean Leloff. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with it. It was about a woman, I believe she was an anthropologist, and she went down to live in the Amazon. And she was writing about how different the children in the Amazon were from Western children. And she said they seemed much more calm, much stronger sense of a physical well-being. And she was watching how they raised their kids, and she said they held them all the time when they were babies, when they were first born, like animals often hold their young, or like a kangaroo in a pouch, or a baby will hang on to their mom's back or something. That the mothers in the Amazon never let go of their babies. They never asked them to walk or be separate. That what she was saying is that babies on their own will pull away when they're ready to start walking or crawling. And so until then, they're always being held. Whether you're cooking, whatever you're doing, it's either you or one of the people in the tribe are holding that baby. It's constant, constant touch. And then she said that she didn't know, but she was guessing that maybe some of the trouble we have with addiction in Western culture comes from the fact of just this very first stage of a lack of touch. That we're hungering for that physical sense of well-being, so we try to find it through other means in Western culture. And she said, I didn't see that in them. There was just a place of physical comfort with who they were, a sense of well-being that these children had because they were touched for so long. And as I'm reading about this process, my third eye, I only have heard about third eyes now. It's not like I did practices around it or anything. Oh, no, by that time I was meditating on my third eye. It just opened, and I knew it was truth. I didn't need to analyze it. I didn't need to go get it validated by anybody else. I didn't need to read a ton of research. When we get that direct hit from Spirit, we know that we know that we know. We're not questioning it. We know. And so in that moment, I knew that's how I was going to raise my baby, which I knew I was going to have because of the other vision. It's extraordinary. And so that's what we did when we had Julian. We held him all the time. He didn't walk until he was 15 months. But when he walked, he wanted to walk. He was ready to move on. We got a lot of hassle. Just put him down. He'll be fine. Don't worry about him so much. Nope, I'm not putting him down. If he doesn't want to be put down, I'm not putting him down. That's so I didn't realize how much that would, we were living on the East Coast too. I think in California it might be a little different. But we were in D.C. and we got some hard time for not putting him down, for not just crying it out, blah, blah, blah. We held him. Sense of well-being, physical sense of well-being. I don't know if, I'm not a cause-oriented person. I don't say, well, everyone should do this. I just knew that was the guidance for me of how I wanted to raise a child. What it would be like if I didn't raise him, would Julian be any different? I don't know. I do know that he could eat half a cookie and give it back and say he's done. Something I cannot do. But here's the amazing thing. So we're living by Enlightenment's resume. That there is this divine idea, and some of you know what that is. And it's not just one thing. It's not like I'm just a mother. I'm many things. We're multi-beings. But the more we're listening to this divine idea, our entire being is moving into integrity with something so much greater than ourselves. I got to spend an hour with Reverend Michael this past week in a session, and beyond just the words that are being expressed is just this infinite presence of God. And I've also, for those of you who've been paying attention, I've also been talking about St. Piesos, who's also this extraordinary presence of God. Their theologies, light years apart, and my theology from St. Piesos. And I was trying to think, well, how can that be? How can we have like these different ideas? And what I finally, as I'm with this talk, I'm like, what it is Saint Payesos is in complete integrity with who he is supposed to be. He is there to serve Eastern Orthodox Christians, and he does it with miracles after miracles after miracles. That is who he is supposed to be in his life. He lived in total integrity with his story, with that idea for his life. When I'm talking to Reverend Michael, he is living in total integrity with the idea for his life. He knows he didn't make it up. He visions, he sees, he opens, and he lives it, and he says yes in every part of him, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, relationship, in every way. He's just connecting. So his whole being is in alignment, and that's what I came to the conclusion all a mystic is. That's all of us are, is to be in total, and then the word integrity, I'm like, wow, that is a great word. I'm feeling the power of that, because being with beings than all my other spiritual teachers, and I started looking at it, and every one of them are in total integrity with what they speak, with what they do, how they act, how they feel. Doesn't mean they're not perfect. There's this other part in our time together. I knew Reverend Michael in the 90s. There's still that very human side of our relationship. It doesn't mean that we become not human. We're still totally human and totally divine all at the same time, but there's an integrity to all of it, even into our imperfections. There is an integrity to our imperfections, because it's all in alignment with what we believe and think and feel and do. Enlightenment's resume is to live from that divine idea as much as we possibly can. Just to have that be our intention is already fulfilling that purpose. I was listening to Thomas Merton was saying that just by wanting to live in alignment with your highest intention, you're already doing that, because that's the divine within us that desires that. And so everything that's unfolding day by day is supporting that divine idea for you. It's not about perfection. It's not about knowing everything about everything. There's choices to be made every single day, all the time. But it's our intention behind those choices. People get so caught up in making the right choice or the wrong choice. The intention behind it, our heart behind it, is the power. If my heart is to live from God first and to live the God idea, the Christ Atman Buddha idea for my life, that's going to be unfolding. So here's, to me, the miraculousness, sometimes how spirit works. So I always like to look on TED Talks Sunday morning just to see if there's any cool stories about the topic. And I didn't know I looked up third eye, and I got the first video that got played. I have no idea what it has to do with the third eye. But it was fantastic, because as I'm listening to it, it's about a mathematician. He was an assistant professor at Yale. He was part of the team that helped create the MRI, which then later got the Nobel Prize. And he's talking about how they can see the fetus develop. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm right back here again. I'm thinking and asking about the third eye, and he starts going through the slides of how the fetus develops, and he says, we see things now that we could never see before. He said there's 60,000 miles of vessels in the human body as it's developing, and we can only see 1 mile of that. He said, I'm a pretty good mathematician. There is no mathematician that can explain how the complexity of how human beings develop. And he showed how the heart developed over those 9 months. And then he showed how the mind developed over those 9 months. He said it's so beyond, we're still working on it, we'll never stop, but we don't have any clue mathematically to explain the complexity of the human being. So I was asking, I thought this was amazing. I'm like, it can't be a coincidence that I'm seeing this video. I don't even have to, I'm like, what does this have to do with the third eye and enlightenment? And then it just came to me. We are so miraculous. Spirit is showing me over and over that in this Christ light of all of us, the Christ child, that individual soul that was developed and birthed, we were all in the fetus in a womb, and we were all absolute miracles that nobody on this planet can explain. No human mind, as much as we can imagine and create, can come up with a concept that can create a human fetus developing from the fetus to the full development. We are miracles. We are complex, extraordinary miracles. We are the Christ light. We have that. We were birthed with this Christ idea. Let's go to that same thing that created this incredible complexity to be the guiding light in our life. To be, Yogananda says it's also the third eye. He also calls it as the Eastern star, like in the Jesus story, or it's your guiding light, whatever that is, whatever wording or language that speaks to you. It's the guiding light of our life. Let's take that seriously. Let's open to it. Let's ask. Ask and you shall receive. Open to that third eye. See what's there to be revealed. Because it is going to be much greater. It's not, when I had the vision about having a baby, there's 7 billion babies on the planet. That is not a new idea. So it's not about, well, it's two. It's showing a reality, but it was an idea that where there was no opposite. There was no other idea countering it. It was just to be a mother. And I also heard or read somewhere as I'm doing the chakras that the 2 eyes are about remembering the past and being in the present tense. The third eye is about the future, because the third eye is not of this world. So the third eye can see what we cannot see. So by opening to it, we are seeing an idea for our life that we didn't create, that did not come from my imagination. My imagination can then serve it, can serve that idea. If I get the idea of being a mother, then I'm imagining how I can do that, and I'm allowing different possibilities to come through. But the imagination is to serve that third eye. And then finally, you know this isn't my talk. I know it so deeply because I didn't even think of any of this stuff. It just came. And then I thought, well, why did I have the third eye experience with the attachment parenting? And it was Spirit say to remind every one of us that we are so completely held in the arms of God in every moment of every day. We are held, and we are loved, and we are cared for. That on this journey of, the earth journey can be very challenging, and there's struggles, and there's things we don't know, and we have to make decisions, and we sometimes feel like we're making decisions from a clouded place, and it's great when the third eye opens, but when it doesn't, and we're trying to do the best that we can, but it does not matter. No matter what is happening, we are held, we are held, we are held. We are each the Christ, Buddha, Atman child of the divine, every one of us. We get away from the whole mother, father, God thing, but we are that wonderful creative expression where we are held and loved as we open and evolve into our greater yet to be. That's Enlightenment's resume. I invite you to join me on this wonderful month's journey as we open to our enlightened resume for our own individual beautiful lives, knowing that every step of the way we are held and loved for all eternity. Let's pray. And as we open to prayer, we're taking a prayer class, and one of the things that it's saying is that sometimes people have trouble praying for themselves. They're very generous and good about praying for other people, but not necessarily themselves. So I invite you as we go into prayer right now to be generous with yourself, knowing that you are loved, you are seen, and that this prayer is for you as an individual. I know we want to love, and we can include, at the end, we'll include other people, but I just don't want you to, I want you to really embrace yourself in this prayer today. And so we begin with love. Absolute, unlimited, unbounded, pure, birthless, and deathless love. It is not love that we are creating or imagining or making up. It already exists in its fullness and its richness. It does not come and it does not go. It is always, always, always right where we are in this moment, in the center of our being that surrounds and unfolds us in the top of our head and the bottom of our feet, through our entire body, through our entire energy body and causal body, everything that surrounds us, our communities, our nation, our planet, the galaxies upon galaxies, is just love swirling itself into existence breath by breath and moment by moment. Love swirling itself into form, into things that we can see, taste, touch, and smell, but all of it is nothing but a beautiful, radiant expression of the love, beauty of pure spirit. And so we just open our hearts, our minds, our third eye, if you choose to look through your third eye as we pray, to see and know that this beautiful cosmic love is not just out there, it's deep within us. It's deep within our beautiful energy centers, every energy center, pure love. We see with the eye of pure spirit. We see so that our whole body shall be full of light. We see that which is the only reality that exists, which is pure, unlimited, absolute, unchanging love, pure being, pure bliss, pure beauty, harmony, creativity. We are it now. Every one of us, every single being on this planet. And today you are claiming it for yourself. You are the life of God. We are the life of God. I am that I am, pure, unlimited, unbounded love. It's impossible for any of us to be outside of that love ever. Even when our actions, our words, our thoughts feel out of integrity with our being and we want to constrict, even in that constriction, we are absolutely unlimited love. There is that within us that is never hurt, harmed, or endangered ever by what is happening in the circumstances and conditions of our individual lives, whether it's in our world, whether it's in our families, whether it's in our work life. Nothing can limit ever the infinite oceanic love that is at the center of our being right now. And so we open our heart, we open our mind, we open our third eye, we open our entire being to not only know love, but to feel it, to feel that infinite embrace that surrounds and cares for us, cares for our concerns, cares for the decisions that we have to make, cares about our dreams, our desires to express even more and more. That love knows everything about us, that which needs to be healed and that which needs to be expressed. And it is there loving and supporting us unconditionally every step of the way. We just breathe that in. We just breathe that in. Breathe that in. One love, single eye attention. Single eye love, not two, not where there's anything other. It's the only thing. Pure, unlimited, unconditional love. And it fills our entire life with light. This is who we are right now. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to happen. This is who we are now. Whatever we might be going through health-wise, physically, we are love. We are unlimited love. And nothing that's happening in our body can impact or limit the love that we are. Whatever emotional or mental challenges we are having, nothing can ever limit that love, ever. Financially, with work, with creative expression. Love, love, and more love. Just let everything be immersed in pure love. Every relationship, every conversation, every action immersed in fullness of the love that has called you specifically into this world. You, with all your uniqueness, with all your imperfections and your perfections, with all those things you don't like and all those things that you love about yourself, all of that has been called into time and to space and into form with love. You were birthed in love. You are going to be fulfilled in love tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. Love is fulfilling ourselves in each and every moment, and it is all already done in the mind of heart, in the mind of God. It's all already done. We just say yes, we say yes, we say yes. To God be the glory, to God be the glory. And as we feel and know this for ourselves, we just quietly call forth those people who we know also need to know that they are love and that their destiny is already fulfilled. Just within yourself, call out those names. You can call out the names of groups of people. And then lastly, just call out your name one more time. Say your name in your heart. each and every one of us, the Christ child, each and every one of us, the Atman, the Buddha child. We are holy, we are sacred, we are divine, we are loved. In deep abiding gratitude, we take this beautiful acceptance and knowing, and we just let it be. I invite you now to join me in saying, and so it is. Amen and amen.